All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders, great millstone, who teach very well. Want to let this truth from me. Salutation out there to the hopeful elect who continue to push his word in all truth, faith, and sincerity. And also, Shalom to all the men, women, and children who sincerely believe upon the words of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. And today, man, just basically touching on, this modern trend that these kids are doing. It's a new slang term called 6'7". And you know how we do it here. We go to the Google AI just to see what that word means. It says the most prominent meaning of 6'7" is a viral Gen Alpha slang term originating from a rap song and a basketball player, where it is used in a mostly nonsensical meme-like way, so it don't make sense. Other meanings include a code for blocking caller ID and a number with biblical and spiritual symbolisms, man. Because once you go into the number 67 or 67, you can break it down. It actually goes back into it being a 2/3, man. And that's why all these people, especially here in this modern culture, for a lack of better words, they sit here upon the planet Earth to ultimately get taken down, man. So let's read a little bit more of this. Again, they say it's meaningless, but I'm just going to get a couple key points from it. Let's go down right here. It says it's brain rot culture. Now we know that Yahweh Shema Shai, he's a power of wisdom. Let's go ahead and start off with that. This is the book of 1 Samuel. This is the book of 1 Samuel 2. And I'm going to jump down to verse 3. It says, talk no more exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai is a power of knowledge, and by him actions are ways. So right there, it tells you that Yahweh Shema Shai, he's a power of knowledge, man. You can't come to the Lord if you don't have this wisdom, man. Because ultimately, that's why this devil pushed forth this brain rot culture to ultimately separate you from Yahweh Shema Shai. These different trends that's popping up, best believe behind the music, and before they release, best believe they put enchantments on that make this trend quote unquote popular. But again, if you have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Lord, you will know not to say this, man. But again, that's why they go into the kids first. They say it's Gen Alpha. This is a whole new generational thing. And that's why even when the elite said you can give me control of one generation and I can rule the world. That's why he named this generation right now Generation Alpha, because this generation, he's going to try to start his new world order, man. So let's go ahead and get back a little bit. Let's go ahead and get back into this. It says brain rot culture. The meme is part of a longer online phenomenon known as brain rot, where observed and often meaningless digital media grows popularity. So it's meaningless, man. But again, it's popular amongst a group of people. Now, real quick, let's go right here. Now, again, it says 6 and 7. They say the biblical numerology, the individual numbers 6 and 7 have symbolic meaning that applies to 6'7". 6 associated with human limitations. And that's what they're pushing forth, the flesh. That's the reason why Gen Alpha is easily going to be able to take the C hip, man. Because ultimately, they're going to want to go online. They're going to want to live in the web of the internet. But at the same time, it says in imperfection. As humanity was created on the 6th day, it is often seen as falling short of divine perfection. Yes, falling short of this truth, man. And ultimately, that's what Esau wants. That's why he pushed forth that left-handed energy, especially here in these latter days, man. This guy, he's not pushing forth righteousness, man. He's not telling Gen Alpha to worship Yahweh Shema Shai. No, he pushing forth this brain rot culture so he can dumb you down to overtake you. Let's go on and continue on. 7 represents spiritual perfection and completeness. As the Most High represented on the seventh day, it is the number of wholeness and holiness. Really, that 7 really goes back into being complete. Because again, the world was complete on the seventh day. Everything was good. So again, 6 in the flesh and 7 complete. So these people are completely in the flesh here in these latter days. You know? Let's go ahead and jump down a little bit more. Now I try to go to 2/3, meaning Esau was playing. So let's go right here. 2/3 as a whole number. It is mathematically impossible for 2/3 to be a whole number because of the definition. A fraction represents part of a whole. The value of 2/3 is approximately 0.67. Right there. Right there, man. Just telling you that these different trends is really embedding these people's mind to be 2/3, man. Ultimately, these guys are predestined to be 2/3, and that's why this is their trend, man. Their trend is, you got dancing and things like that, but all of a sudden, the new slang is 6-7, man. Because ultimately, a lot of these people out here are going to be 2/3. Now, let's go ahead and jump down. Let's go right here. What does the Bible say about 2/3? So this is what the Bible says about 6-7. It says the Bible specifically mentions 2/3 in the Old Testament book of Zechariah in a prophecy describing a time of severe judgment and purification for the land of Israel. Yes, because it's going to get to a point where the Lord's going to get ready to get down upon these people because your ways is adverse unto the Lord. Your mind is adverse unto the Lord. A lot of niggas are not out here trying to do right. They're not trying to be the best in righteousness that they can be. Ultimately, here in these latter days, niggas are is on wickedness, man. Nigga commit adultery and make a rap song about it, rob and kill and get a #1 record. Nigga can be openly be a devil worshiper, man, and he'll become a American phenomenon. Look at Ozzy Osbourne, Marilyn Manson, telling you who these people uplift here in this society, man. So that's why divine judgment is going on these people who don't go towards the way of the Lord. Let's continue on. This concept is echoed in the book of Ezekiel. It says this passage, it says Zechariah 13:8-9. This passage describes future time where in the land of Israel, 2/3 of the people will be struck down and perish. Yes, and that's biblical. Let's go ahead and get some how 2/3 of our people are going to be struck down and perish. Let's go to Jeremiah. We're going to go to 11 and then we're going to jump down. Let's jump down to verse 8. Matter of fact, let's jump down to verse 8. It says, yet they obeyed not, nor inclined their ear, but walked everyone in the imaginations of their evil heart. Yeah, your evil mindset. You'd rather celebrate brainwash culture that declines you instead of the culture of life. It says, I will bring upon them the words of this covenant, which I commanded them to do, but they did them not. And the Lord said unto me, a conspiracy is found among the men of Judah and among the inhabitants of Jerusalem. They are turned back to their iniquity of their forefathers. Yes, because this Gen Alpha is the same generation. Gen Z, Gen Alpha is the same generation that rejected the Lord back then. So this is why this generation is upon the planet Earth right now, man. The same people that bucked up against Moses. These are the same people who are on the earth right now. Continuing on them. It says, which refused to hear my words, and they went after other gods to serve them. The house of Israel and the house of Judah have broken my covenant, which I have made with their fathers. And it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's a reaction, for lack of better words. It's a cause and effect and everything. You break a reward, you break a covenant, ultimately you're going to be punished for it, man. You break a contract and things like that. It's not like things is going to be fine and dandy. No, it's going to be repercussions. So it's going to be repercussions here in these latter days for our people turning against the Lord, because this truth is ready available. Even if you say Edomites, a lot of people will know about it. You say Israel, you an Israelite, Jacob, know about it. You know what I'm saying? You can say, yeah, now I'm going to be destroyed. Jacob know about it, but guess what? They won't believe. And the reason why they won't believe, because the Lord predestined you to be a 2/3, to not get this knowledge. Let's continue on though. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I will bring evil upon them. The word evil, Eve goes into times and ear goes back into bad. It says, I will bring evil upon them, bad times, which they shall not escape. Yeah, so you're not going to be able to escape the wrath of the Lord here in these latter days. You're not going to be able to escape the famine, the pestilence, cannibals, and ultimately these people will not be able to escape the missiles. It says, though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them. Yes, because why? You was hearkening into their brain rot culture. Instead of trying to build your brain up, you're beating your brain down with the wicked ways and philosophies of the world. Let's go ahead and go back into these 6-7, man. You know, it says Zechariah 13:8. Again, it says this passage describes a future time, which is the time that we're living in now, where in the land of Israel, 2/3 of the people will be struck down and perish, while 1/3 will remain. The 2/3 represents those who face judgment for faithfulness. Yeah, so like for unfaithfulness, so like yes, not being faithful unto the Lord. Niggas be faithful to NBA Youngboy. Nigga be faithful to Chris Brown. Nigga never miss a concert. But once it comes to the Lord, you busy, man. It says in the remaining 1/3 will be refined and purified, becoming God's people. That first resurrection, man. Because that's what that's going into. That 1/3 is going to be partakers of that first resurrection, man. And that's going to be a beautiful time upon the planet Earth, man. You know, for the nation of Israel. It says this is interpreted as a prophecy of the Most High's judgment and the preservation of a faithful remnant during a time of tribulation. Yes, man. So guess what? In the time of all hell breaking loose, the Lord got set aside 7,000 men, which is a complete number, that would not bow down to Baal, man. The Lord preserve us in the midst of these dangerous times. But the 2/3, they don't have that covering. You know, it tells us that in Ezekiel 9 and verse 4, those that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof, you know, set a mark upon those men, those faithful men, the men of the remnant. But it says those who don't have it, those that are without, ultimately go through the city and smite. And we're coming into the time when that smite of the 2/3 is increasing more and more as we get closer into that perfect day. Because this prophecy must be fulfilled, man. You know, and you got to realize Israel is mostly the people of the planet Earth, man. You know, so that's a real big number. So ultimately, let's get another one. Let's go right here to the book of Revelations. This is the book of Revelations 11. And I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of the Most High and the altar and them that worship therein. Yeah, so basically the believers, the ones that believe upon Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, not no Christian or no modern day Christianity. No, an ancient Christian, man. No, an ancient Israelite. This is the one who the angel is measuring, which is basically the 1/3. It says, but the court which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. Yes, because ultimately our people here in these latter days, they in a Gentile state of mind. And how do we know they're in a Gentile state of mind? Let's get this real quick. Let's go right here to St. Matthew. I think it's 18. Let me see. Because at the end of the day, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai set us up here, man, to preach this word. And once you reject this word, ultimately you reject Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, you know? Yeah, let's get this one real quick. This is Matthew 18 and 10. It says, take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. This talking about the 1/3, man. You know, who ultimately will always be protected here in these latter days. And the 2/3 will despise us here in these latter days, man. You know? Let me see. Type it up. I think is it 16? You can't be 16. Let me see. $18 and 17, so it's 18. Call all you how about Shimmy Shine. This is the book of St. Matthew 18, and I'm gonna jump down to verse let's get to the point of verse 17. It says, and if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it to the church. Matter of fact, let's build up on it. This is the book of St. Matthew 18 and 15. Moreover, if thy brother transpass against thee, and a part of you transpassing is you going off, you know you offended in the law, you being the mo. You offended in the law. You're calling upon Jeebus instead of calling upon Yahweh. You offended in the law, just saying 6-7. You claiming to be a 2/3. You know, that's how you transpassing against brothers, man. It says, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained a friend. But if he will not hear thee, then thou shalt take 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established. Yes, and you can say, you didn't talk to me one-on-one, brother, but you seen the video, you know, and other brothers seen the video too. Let's continue on. It says, and if you neglect to hear them, yes, if you neglect to hear the witnesses, you neglect to hear the videos, the prophecies, it says, tell it to the church. But if you neglect to hear the church, you neglect to hear the doctrine of Yahweh. You know, get to a point, brothers, been to that point. You sent somebody, you know, especially when you was younger in the truth, you sent somebody the video of the apostles, man. And once they seen those, man, they thought those men was crazy. But ultimately, spiritually, that was those men rejecting the church, which ultimately seared their judgment of being destroyed. And I'm going to go back to that Revelation, the 11th chapter. Let's go back. It says, and if you neglect to hear, it's like, and if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it to the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen or a publican. Let's get this in the CSB, the Christian Standard Bible. It says, if he doesn't pay attention to them, you're not paying attention to the prophecies, tell the church. If he doesn't pay attention even to the church, let him be like a Gentile and a tax collector to you. So the Lord said, let you be like a Gentile if you don't get this word, man. So let's go back into that Revelations 11 chapter and finish that off. Just going back into these people saying 6-7. You basically saying you're a 2/3. Going back, Revelations 1 and verse 11, verse 1. It says, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, arise and measure the temple of the Most High and the altar, and them that worship therein. It's talking about the elect, the believers that trust upon Yahweh. But it says, but the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And even in an ancient sentence, you know, the inside was really meant for the Israelites, and only the Gentiles can go outside of it, man. You can't come into this house because this is the house of the Lord. And ultimately, 2/3 can come into this house here in this lifetime because you chose the life of a Gentile, man. Moses said, choose ye life or death, but a lot of people chose death that day, man. And it's clearly seen now. You know, let's go ahead and continue on. It says, in the holy city shall be tread under 4 foot 40 in 2 months. Now, when you go into that, it goes back into that 350-year prophecy, starting at 1619 all the way to around 1969, when our apostle, obviously like when our elder Albert Bivens came out, man, and introduced the world unto Yahweh, you know, in a minute manner in the eyes of these people. But he introduced the world unto Yahweh, and look what it's grown into. But again, these people don't see, and they don't want Yahweh to return, and that's the reason why they're in this brain rot activity, man. So yeah, I pray this video was edifying. I want to give our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to my apostle elder Zoe Millstone, and Shalom.